Buckle up, sports fanatics. This is the Sports Chasers Podcast, your HQ for in-depth sports talk. Join host Kevin L. Warren and crew as they dissect the hottest stories, ignite debates, and bring you closer to the action. From locker room whispers to expert takes, we cover it all. It's game time, so strap in and grab a drink. The Sports Chasers Podcast starts right now.
Hey, good afternoon or good morning, I should say, to all those out there in podcast land, man. This is the Sports Chasers Podcast coming to you, man. This is part 2 of our interview with our guest here today, Mr. Sid Bensalah, man. Part 1, we just couldn't really put everything into one thing because Sid is so established and he has done so much in his young life. So I didn't want to shorten it. We did like an hour, 15 minutes, and I wanted to make sure that we wrap it up in a nice little bow and make sure we get all the, because we didn't even get to some of his youth stuff that he does. He's talking about current projects that he's also doing, and not even really tapping into some of the other Olympic stuff that he does besides what he does, man. But good morning, Sid. How are you? Or good afternoon to where you're at. It's almost the evening over there where you're at. So, and he said he very little sleep. He was watching the Eagles last night. That's why I got the Eagles, the green up there for the Eagles. Congratulations to the Eagles for winning Super Bowl 59 and Jalen Hurts, man. But we're here not to talk about the Eagles. We'll do that probably this afternoon with the Sports Chasers. But we're here to talk to my main man today, Mr. Sid Bensalah. Let me give him some applause. Sid, how are you today? How's it going, Sid? How's it going, man?
Good, Kevin. Good. Thanks for having me once again on the show.
Yes.
Looking forward.
Yes. Part 2. Like I said, you're so accomplished, man. We couldn't really get everything. I didn't want to squeeze everything into 1 hour, so that's why I said let's go. Let's have you back on again. And you was so obliging to come back to us and come share what else that you do, because like I said, you do so much, man. So let me tap into what you do as far as youth. Tell me about your experience about working with youth and in your community and how it goes.
Well, working with the junior sports or youth sports started a long time ago, to be honest with you, Kevin. And in the same time, and when I say a long time ago here, I'm talking about 1992, maybe before that even. I was in the same time, I was a professional sailor, an athlete competing, and in the same time supporting the local community through youth clubs. And it's been a blessing, because one thing I learned a long time ago, Kevin, and I've seen it on myself, that when you are part of a team, you look up to the best. You look up to your coach or instructor, and you try to do your best. You try to learn time management. You try to learn how to organize your days, how to organize your equipment,
right,
how to be punctual,
yes.
And just the basic things, and then you follow the coach, instructor, and stuff like that. But one thing is very important is each person has their, let's say, each individual, each kid, they have some inner qualities, which most of the time you don't know about, what kind of qualities you have. And the beauty of the sports let you discover indirectly, within certain period of time, the qualities that you have, and it's and if you are fortunate to be part of, let's say, a team where everyone look after everyone, then it's a blessing. And then beside of sport itself, it's as I said, you learn discipline, you learn teamwork, you learn responsibility, and then when the instructor or the coach give you a task, you have to deliver, and things like that. And all the stuff you learn as a young athlete, or just someone be part of a team or a club, it will help you when you grow up as a man or as a woman, and when I finished college, I was fortunate as well to join a sports and technology university. So I did 5 years, which I got my master degree in sports management. I graduated in 1993. And after that, I was fortunate to work for two federations in the sports of sailing. So I worked with the Algerian Sailing Federation and the French Sailing Federation in the same time. And I hold a key position. So I was the head of the Olympic teams, looking after, let's say, the entire squadron. And when I say looking after the entire squadron, is mainly appointing coaches, setting up the budget, setting up the program, the training, the schedule for the year, etc., etc. And from there, it's again, you travel a lot. Because you have, let's say, targets, taking part to an Olympic cycle, which is 4 years. So you have to plan, and yeah. And as much as you plan, there is always something that might go wrong. Athletes, they get, let's say, injured. You miss qualification or an event that is important for the team or the athlete itself to qualify, etc., etc. So yeah, it's been a blessing. It's been really a fantastic journey, and yeah.
Did you how did you fall into, well, I wouldn't say fall into, how did you get into the love of sailing? How did you get into that?
Oh, I started sailing I believe, when I was 5 years old, thanks to my uncle. He had a boat and he took me every weekend, and then I loved it. And then there was a small club where I lived, and for because I was young, normally you start sailing around 5 or 7 years old. So, and I remember when I was 5, I had my first boat. The boat looks like a shoebox. We call it Optimist. It was a wooden made boat, and yeah, I started from there. But in the same time, I was not only doing, when I was 12, 13, I was doing all sort of sports, from, you name it, from judo to basketball to a lot of swimming, tennis, basically everything, and sailing. I was not serious in terms of sailing. It was just a hobby, something that really I loved so much. And from 14, 15 years old, I decided, okay, that's it. It's a sport that I would like to commit to. And I started racing. So every weekend, we have regional events, or sometimes national events. And from there, if you are good, you get selected within the national team, and then you compete, you represent your country in international events. So that's how it happened.
Wow. So sailing it is. You say you played a little bit of basketball, tennis. Would you say sailing was the best thing that you was at, being that you committed afterwards?
I will not say the best. Look, sailing, it's not, when you start, it's not really a fun sport per se, because it's tough, man. It's really tough. Imagine, I mean, tough, not. Number one, you need to love the environment, which is the water.
Right.
And not everyone is comfortable with water. So that's and it's a lot of work, and a lot of, when I say a lot of work onshore, on land, a lot of preparations, a lot of maintenance, a lot of carrying, a lot of cleaning, a lot of of everything. Let's say if you are in a basketball team, I'm not sure if the team sometime they take a broomstick or a mop and they start sweeping and cleaning the floor, you know,
No,
or cleaning the changing rooms. In sailing, we do. It's part of the training, believe it or not. We have to clean everything. And thanks to sailing, I become a cleaning maniac. So and this is one of the, because at that time you say, oh my god, we spend more time on land than on a boat training on the water. And that's the one of the thing of sailing, because if you are not well prepared on shore, and if something goes wrong while you are sailing, then there is no one to blame, only yourself.
so I
you know
guess sailing. I guess there was a method to their madness, right? To the people that taught you sailing. Um,
yeah,
Pretty much, you're doing all these things on land, but it prepared you for when you was at sea
absolutely,
to make.
absolutely.
And
Look,
go ahead.
look, I give you an example, Kevin. Wintertime, because it's cold, because it's miserable, because most of the time the weather is bad. So what we do, there is a lot of maintenance work that we do during wintertime. And since at that time the boats, they were wooden made, not polyester or carbon fiber like now,
Mhm.
you have to paint, you have to scrap the old paint, you have to fix all the nails, and I did all that when I was, what, 10, 11, 12 years old? So you learn all this, how you call them?
Manual labor.
Manual labor, absolutely. You learn how you tie rope. For example, if you're a sailor or someone that is connected to the sea, to water, and you don't know how to tie knots, come on, because a knot can save life. So you learn all these things, and then one thing important, you learn to respect the elements, the environment that you are surrounded with. And I can tell you, since the toy is the boat, the engine is the sail, and the power or the gasoline is the wind, and you don't see the wind. And when you are sailing, it's not like you are in a football stadium, like you have a reference, you have lines, you have sailing, you don't. It's you have to learn all the marine, all the how I say,
Maritime
maritime
laws and all that stuff.
terminologies,
Yes.
laws, safety. There is a lot of physics. There is so much stuff. And I must say that most of the sailors, they are pretty advanced at school when it comes to physics and understanding the basic things within physics, comparing to other, yeah. But it's a team. You are part of a community. One thing that sailing suffer as there is a misperception about sailing, maybe similarly to golf, that these sports are reserved to a certain class because it's expensive, because you have equipment, etc., etc. I will say it's a myth. Yes, it is expensive, but if you are fortunate, for example, like in France, where we have so many sailing schools, and the sailing schools, most of them are part of the community. So if you want to practice sailing, it's not really expensive. You just need to be disciplined. You need to. It's a big commitment, you know. Similarly to, let's say, equestrian sport. Equestrian sport, if you are part of a stable, it's not only jump on a horse and go riding. You know, it's a lot of work in the stable. You look after the horses, you clean so it's yeah. So I hope I answered your question, Kevin.
All right, we're back. We had to take a little technical break, but we're back. All is well. Me and Sid can hear each other now. And Sid was going on for about 2 minutes before I didn't hear anything he said. But we're gonna go back into it again. We was talking about sailing, maritime, and how pretty much that discipline has pretty much shaped Sid into how he garnered his career into what it is now. Go ahead, Sid. I'm sorry.
Well, we're talking about the benefit of any sport, basically, and in my case was sailing. When I get hooked to the sport when I was 12, between 12 to 14 years old, and what I was saying that what sailing taught me, it's discipline, it's commitment, it's looking after the team, looking after and basically it's you have to be well prepared, not only physically, mentally, but your all the stuff, all the equipment that you use, and then while you are how I say, when you are taking part to not only training, but then within your schedule, you have to compete on various levels, various in different regattas, which is a type of events that we do in sailing. You set goals, and then if your ultimate goal is to represent your country in the international stage, then it's a completely different ball game where you have to commit to a minimum of 40 hours a week training just to be on the elite level. So yeah, it's been a blessing career, and whatever I learn, and going back to the first question, youth sport, and so whatever I learned, I try to teach the youngsters. Number one, to get them hooked within the sports, and then we have a say that if you get the sailing virus, there is no antidote. So it's for life.
Got you. So is sailing that all that you teach with sports, or do you teach anything else, or do you coach
No,
anything else?
look, I stopped teaching sailing since a long time because I moved within my career. When I was looking after the elite team, the Olympic teams, your schedule is pretty much chock-a-block. Basically, in let's say in 12 months, you completely full from racing, training, traveling in every single part of a country or the world, and you don't stop, because even when you have, let's say, an event that is planned 2, 3, 4 months ahead, a long time ago, if the team is not familiar on where we're going to a certain venue, a city, or within a country, we have to gather so many information in order to understand the weather pattern there during that period, during that season. And then based on all the data, we have to analyze that data in order to set, let's say, kind of a strategy. Which kind of strategy we're gonna do based on that strategy, based on those information, with which kind of tuning we have to do with the boat. It's like a racing car. If you don't prepare the car well, if you don't have the proper tires, if you don't tune the car following the rules, of course, then there is no way you're gonna win. So it's a lot of preparations, and all this somehow it helps you in later on. It helps you later on if you are, let's say, either working within an organization, or if you are leading a team, or if you are, let's say, fortunate to have your own business. All those lessons taught when I was younger, it will help. And I'm not saying this only about sailing. It's any sport, and this is where sport has a power to unite, has a power to teach, has a power to let you discover your inner qualities that I spoke about earlier, and you will never forget those things, never ever, and you try to pass on what you learn to the next generations, probably your kids, if you have kids, or if you are fortunate maybe to to spare some time within your community to help youngsters, to stay away from trouble, for example, which is extremely important. So either soccer or football, American football or basketball, you name it, and there is so many folks out there that they give from their time to train to within their communities, and it's everywhere, and it's a noble thing to do, actually.
Nah, it's definitely a noble thing. I've dabbled in youth sports and youth coaching and stuff like that. Yeah, because you gotta love to want to do it. You gotta love to want to impart to some to kids and what you love and to make it be a part of them. I think that's, like you said, is something very special and something very noble. You talked about the environment when you're sailing when you was a kid. Did that catapult you to how you feel and how you talk about taking care of the environment, like how you talked about in part one of our interview?
Look, things happened organically, Kevin. In my case, since you deal if you are within the sports of sailing, so you deal with two elements. You deal with the land, and you deal with the moving elements, which is water,
Right.
and then you have the air from where the wind comes, and then you develop, since the get-go, you develop that respect for all these elements, and you say, oh my god, this is not only like I can use the natural elements to move, to propel myself, to go fast, to go from point A to point B. And by the way, from point A to point B, you are not on a powerboat, like you press the throttle and then here we go. You
Right.
are on the steering. This is a completely different way to and it's fantastic. And then you really respect the element, the environment you're in, and you look after it. You really look after it. Like I said earlier, from young age you learn to to make things tidy, to make things clean, and since the beginning as well, I learned since I was young, checklist. We have to follow a checklist, and we always say you need to check, double check, triple check, quadruple check. you know, just in case within the checklist you miss something, and then these things become so automatic in you, and it's a discipline, it's a routine, it's some sort of stereotype where it's a fantastic. But going back to the environment, when we travel, and the beauty of the sport, any sport, so you get the opportunity to travel with your teammate across the country or whatever. You meet other people, and when you do that non-stop, before you know it, you have friends everywhere. you know and at that time we didn't have internet, Kevin. We had a phone, but what we do, we write postcards, we write letters, we use postcards to basically for various reasons, Christmas or birthdays and things like that, which is now,
Right.
I mean, the new generation, they don't know even what's a postcard, how to send it, what's a stamp, which is okay. It's not another. But then when you travel to somewhere else and you see that that environment is not well looked after, let's say there is trash everywhere, the beach is not clean, there is stuff floating on the water, and sometimes, quite often, maybe your audience, they're going to be shocked. You are sailing, you are racing, and one of the races are so important, and suddenly you hit a floating washing machine or a fridge.
Wow.
Yes, it happen all the time. Or something that is floating that you don't see because you're going fast or whatever, and then boom. Or you see oil spill, or so yeah. And we become a custodian of that environment, and then you question, you say, why it's like that? Why people, they don't care? And so yeah.
Got you. That's pretty cool what you talked about as far as the environment. What's the most favorable, how can I say, most memorable event that you managed?
Oh, from look, uh, there is so many events. I mean, there is so many events, and I usually remember a best event not only because of the result we got, but because of the maybe I'm gonna sound, but because of the good time we had in that event, because of, let's say, a specific gala dinner or a party, or we made some connections and stuff like that, and we had a good time after winning or being on a podium. So you might forget quickly a race, but you will never ever forget a good party within that venue, you know. So I can name so many good events. But then when I was, just for your audience, in 1999, I moved to Dubai. I've been asked by the government of Dubai to develop and promote the sailing as a sport in Dubai, in the middle of nowhere.
Let's talk about
The
that,
sport was
guys.
not developed, and then I took up the challenge and I went there and we did the crazy stuff there. You know, we uh, we um, we um, we basically opened sailing school. We tried to get kids to be part of the sports. You know, we included the sports of sailing within a couple of schools within the school curriculum. We created the championship, put in creating a federation, establishing, let's say, kind of a structure, and it worked. It worked so well. And one of the thing working with the youngsters is, I always say, sailing is for everyone. You know, for, it doesn't matter from where you come from. It's for everybody, a boy, a girl, someone that how I say, someone that is fortunate to live a good life. Some folks that come from, let's say, middle class and things. So we did not make a difference with anyone. And then we taught the little ones when we go racing and competing. We taught them that if other kids, they are on the podium and they beat you, you have to go to them, look them in the eyes, shake the hand, and say congratulations, because another time you will beat them and they will do the same. You know. So yeah, it's so many memories, so many good times. And beside of training the kids, Kevin, and Dorian is here. Hi, Dorian. Yeah. And beside
Hold
and
on.
beside
Go ahead.
beside training the kids, you are not only the coach, you are the best friend, you are the confidant, you are the person that the parents, they call you when they have an issue with the kid, either at school or at home. So they keep you in the loop, and the minute the session, prior the session, any session, training session starts, or an event, the minute you gather everyone, you welcome everyone, and we do it in such a friendly, casual way. And then you can read between, when you see everybody, if someone is, let's say, if there is something wrong, we quickly pick on that, and then we take a decision in terms of taking that kid, a girl or a boy, aside, having a discussion, an open communication, try to figure out what's going on and things. So yeah, and then when you do that on and on and on, it's yeah, you build a trust, and that trust is forever. And when I say forever, uh, because most of the time we ask why a team has won. For example, last night, the game last night, you know,
Okay.
everyone everyone thought that the Chiefs will win.
Well,
The majority.
yeah. Well, yeah.
I'm talking here in Europe.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm talking in Europe. You know, for whatever reason, because they played nice last time. It's I mean, because of the media, because I mean there is so many reasons. They won. The Chiefs, they won last time against the Bills, and they thought, okay, it's a déjà vu. They're gonna meet the Eagles, and for the first time, maybe they're gonna win for the third time. You know, but then when you see from the get-go yesterday, you can clearly see that there was an advantage from the Eagles. The way they were playing, the way they were executing, the way they were defending, the offense, the way they were attacking and things like that. From the get-go, you say, "Wow, this team, they are like like one person," you know. And to reach that level, look, I'm not trying to speculate, or I'm just trying, based on my experience, to get every single person to execute and move as one block. It takes a lot, and because each one of them trusts the other one, you know, and you see the results straightforward. You know, that's what I think. I hope I'm not wrong.
No, you're
But
absolutely not. Because Da, he's played football on the highest level than all of us. He says that all the time. It takes a lot for 11 people to move together in harmony to know.
Okay, hello.
yeah, hi.
Okay, so I was saying, I'm sorry. Just before this, your example of how you guys work with the kids, like kind of holistically. You guys are just like it's just building a community, and between you guys from a coaching organizational point to the children and the folks that you involved in the sailing, like you kind of like almost build a family out of these folks.
All right, can you hear me?
And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, so I was saying, it sounds like you guys are just building a community, like with every team, with every kid. You're just bringing them into your family, and that you can continue, like you said, whether they come from a rich family or a poor family, or it just doesn't matter. You're accepting of everyone. So, and I think that's kind of what happened with Philadelphia. You know,
Hmm.
was that they just were kind of. I'm sorry, that's my dog. They were kind of just Otis, would you stop? Uh,
I can't believe this. I can't hear nobody.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what I was saying was, Sid, so when you do that, like yesterday, the
This is
big
weird.
difference in last year's Philadelphia's team was at the end of the season they kind of fell apart. Right? They didn't have the community. They were not working on a similar accord for everyone
Hmm.
on the team. Whereas, last night they became, and you can see as stated from the beginning of the game on, they were kind of together, and it sounds like that's what you like all the time with these kids, which is really important.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it is. It is. And we were talking earlier about what it takes to get every single person to to commit to it's the main thing is it takes time to build trust.
Right.
It takes time to build trust. It takes time to let them understand that based on merit, the minute they work hard, and you let them know that if you work hard, you will get where you want to be. And if you want to be selected to represent a team for a championship or for any event, there is no how I say, I'm trying to find the word. It's on merit, and there is no a privilege, like
Gotcha.
and and like really there is no privilege. It doesn't matter from where you come. It doesn't matter from what background you come from. The minute you work hard and you understand and you commit, and you follow the let's say the rule of engagement. Here we go. The rule of engagement of being part of a team, and that's it. That's it. And it will stick with you forever. Forever. You might change team at some point or pivot or go somewhere else, but you will never ever forget the time when you start, the time where a coach give you the opportunity because you deserved to be selected to represent that team. It's important, and like you say, yesterday, the minute the game started, you could see the Eagles. They were like the way they were moving. They were like fighting for every single inch, comparing to the Chiefs.
Yeah.
You know,
It was,
and it made a huge difference. A huge difference.
indeed. And like you said, it's once you teach the kids, those kind of muscle memory steps of being a good teammate, a good, uh, earning your spot by merit. You never give that up, no matter what teams you go to. Even if you switch to another team, you still assume that you'll have to earn it by working hard and by being a good teammate, by staying with your teammates, and like you said, those lessons can't they never go away. You'll continue to be the same the rest of your career.
Yeah, yeah. And even when losing, we teach the youngsters that you learn from when you lose. It's not the end of the world.
Yes.
Yes, you're gonna have some tears on your cheeks. You're gonna cry. You're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna isolate yourself in a corner and feel sorry. And one thing I say to everyone: do not ever feel sorry. On just we're gonna reflect as a team, not as individuals. We will reflect all together. We're gonna look at where things went wrong, why the other team or the other opponent they were stronger or better than us, and we're gonna go back to the court. We're gonna go back to the club, and we're gonna train, and we're gonna set targets and work on it. And that's how it is. Most of the time, we teach the little ones that if you fail, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. And we get the parents involved, by the way. We get the parents and we say to the parents, listen, guys, I'm going to draw a line. This is where the line stops, and this is where you can support us, and when you should never, ever cross that line. And because, it's so hard, believe me, guys, it is so hard to teach the kids that if we lose, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. We pick up the pieces, we stand up, we reflect, and we recharge the batteries, and we work again for another 12 months, and we set a target, and we do better. And when you rally everyone, when you set this kind of foundations, and it's indirectly, we don't think about it, but indirectly, it's impact the community.
Wow.
Yeah, because that's because it's a big thing, Sid. Those parents are a little crazy sometimes. They think they got to win
all the
every time.
time.
Yeah, you can't win. You can't win all the time, right? Because they practice too.
No.
The other side is working out the same way you're working out, and they just happen to be better this time around. So you don't want it to be a situation where, I remember my mother used to say, "Oh, well, God is. I pray to God that you guys win," and I say, "No, Ma, you can't do that because the other team has mothers too, and they're praying too, right? So it's all about the work, and then it will become fair on the field. We're just going to work, and on the field it'll become fair, right? So it's not, Sid was praying for me you know, and he wasn't praying for Kevin. That's not the way this works. You got to kind of teach parents, you know, because they take their kid to more practices that, you know, they should play more, they should do this, or they should do that. So,
yeah, and it's becoming harder, by the way,
I'm
comparing
sure.
to when we were kids. It's becoming harder because now the parents they shield their kids for safety reasons, for safety reasons, and
Yes.
everything is provided. It's not the kids' fault, guys. Everything is provided. They have access to the information which we didn't have.
No.
Click of a button and they know everything. They download anything, so they are really smart and really switched on. Most of the time is too much, but then they need to, and I think we spoke with Kevin in my podcast. I'm not sure, but I think we did, about kids. They need to spend less time on screen and go outside. Go go outside, go outdoor, take a walk, go kick some balls, go play with your neighbors and things like that. Which the kids today, it's because they are shielded within the family for safety reasons,
Yeah,
and when they fail, sorry, when they are confronted with the failure, because since they were little, most of the parents, it's okay, don't worry about it, da-da-da, da-da-da, or putting the blame on someone else. And the worst thing you do to the kid is to teach them when they are youngsters, every time there is a problem, it's someone else mistake, fault. And here where sport is so, beside of any result, beside of competing in a championship or whatever, when you are young, you should let the kids be together and have fun. Just
Yes.
have fun. Don't push them too much, because if you push them too much, you will break the kids. And if the parents they get involved, oh my God, it will be and within the community, and this is how it used to be in the past. Yeah, so you are part of a club. It doesn't matter what sport. The parents are there to help with anything, because most of the time clubs, they don't have funding. They don't have a lot of money so everyone is contributing, maybe to rent a bus, to go to another city to compete, equipment, upgrading some facility or maintenance within the club, and things like that. And that's the power of the sport. But then let the coach do the job. Let the decision makers within the club to do their job,
yep,
and things like that. But then when a team lose, most of the time, parents, the fan base, the supporters, they lash at the team like, wow, and they try to find any, and it is a social behavior, mainly in soccer, because soccer here in Europe, it's wow, it's crazy. It's it's crazy, and you see the turnaround of the coaches in a
yeah,
season after a
yeah,
couple of matches. If a team is not doing well, the first thing to sack is the coach. You
yeah,
know, you don't see this in football, in the US, in basketball, there is up and downs and stuff like that. But yeah, and then you teach the kids, when there is a fight in the grandstand, when when there is issues on the street after a game, vandalism and things like that. It's yeah, it's
you give them a
yeah.
bad it kind of, especially for football, it's European football.
Mm,
It can scare kids away, right? Because depending on where you're at, if the fans or your fan base is too crazy, you know, it may scare dudes away. And I've seen different guys where they would move to a different country to play because they just feel that where they're from, it's
mm,
just too much pressure, because your father still lives in the town or your aunt still lives there. So you can't even lose a match, and it's like, hey, listen, they are here to practice too. They practice all week, and they were better than us, right? It's
mm.
2-1, right? It's no more stoppage time. It's over. We can get in the cars and go home now, right? Because I've heard of it happening with kids, very young, and it's sad because they are kids, and they'll get better as they get older, but you can't have goalies stopping every goal at 7 years old. It's not going to happen. They barely know where they are on the field at 7. They're supposed to be having fun. So, but again, sometimes the parents take the fun out of the game. So,
and then you have another phenomena. For example, American football, which is now it's getting really popular in Europe. By the way.
Oh, I'm glad you asked that, Sid. I got a question for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go finish your thought, and I got something to counter with that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's becoming so popular. Look, for example, yesterday I had to stay, and I told Kevin prior we kick off with the with the episode that I stayed late until 4:00 a.m. I had to wake up at 6:00, so I slept two hours. So, but then it was worth it. But then when I look at, for example, it's the Super Bowl per se, it continued to be a global phenomenon. Apparently, there is an estimated of 120 million viewers, and half of them are from they're not from the US. It's they're not from the US, so the worldwide audience underscores the universal appeal of American football and its cultural significance. And even today, beginning of after lunch, I was talking with my little ones, and the topic here in Sweden, in Europe, it was about Super Bowl yesterday. Now, believe it or not, And yesterday I watched the match on the Swedish television in Swedish language, and the broadcaster, they dedicated they put a fantastic setup for sports journalists, two specialists. It was really, really interactive, entertaining. Prior to the game, they made a nice summary overview about the season, and then talking about the individual players, their background. It was fantastic. And this is the power, for example, of Super Bowl. Yeah.
Let me ask you this, because we've been on this show. I've been giving Roger Goodell a bunch of, I guess, not hate, so to speak, but I've been giving him some beef about him wanting to globalize football, and I made this comparison how the Premier League, they don't play none of their regular season games in the US, and they just said something the other day I read.
Yeah.
And Roger Goodell, he's branching out, branching the NFL out to Australia. They played in Germany this year a couple of times. Always play in London.
They played in London, yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you something. I don't know what city you live in Sweden. I don't know if it's Stockholm. But if the NFL was to logistically, somehow, if they was to put together a couple of teams in Europe, what do you think the interest of NFL football, American NFL football, would be in Europe?
Absolutely. It's without doubt, Kevin. It's a yes. And then if you ask me why, there is so many reasons. Why? It's simple.
Yes.
The appeal of American football through Super Bowl, because Super Bowl, the power of Super Bowl, there is the media behind. There is the it's like Formula One car racing. It's like any major. I think it's not fair for me to compare Super Bowl to other sporting event. Super Bowl is unique. When you hear the ticket price to attend, just to attend, you say, where on earth, which sport there is out there where the cheapest ticket is around $8,000 US, for example? Not sure if this is the figure, but it goes from a couple of thousands to all the way to, I don't know, 20,000,
You're close.
12, something like that, which is crazy. Just name one sport where you pay, where a ticket price, same like Super Bowl. There is nowhere. None. But then I said yes, because let's talk about the product itself. The sport, football, American football. It's cool. It's nice to watch, nice to see. And on top of that, I don't want to say something that maybe some listeners will interpret it differently. It's it inspires little boys, to give it a trial. Here, I think there is two small stadiums where you can play American football in Stockholm. There is one outside Stockholm, and there is one here. And there is a few schools that play American football just for fun, But then I am 100% sure the hype, the effect, and the impact of Super Bowl, I will give it 4 or 5 years from now, and we're going to talk about something completely different.
As far as what, like a franchise playing in Europe?
Not only that, because how do you get things rolling? You need to interest the little one. You need to have a special program for like a youth development program within American football. You have to start with the grassroots. You have to, because if the kids, they get hooked, the parents, they have no other option just to follow their kids. And if you put a nice structure around it, like teams, a league, or a championship, various categories and things like that, then that's you are basically planting a seed for many, many, many years and decades to come. Now, when you take the top of the top, the cherry on the cake, which is Super Bowl, and you put like a pyramid, you need to have a base. What is your base? It's the grassroots program, the youth development program. And then you go up and up and up and up. And higher you go, much more interest you will get from partners, sponsors, local authorities to invest in infrastructure to build proper stadiums. Then you get the franchise to, the right holder in America to probably look at something like to franchise it in different countries within Europe, then create maybe a league or a championship in Europe, and why not? Since Super Bowl, it's such a one of the biggest major sporting event every year. You name it, all sport together. You name it. Super Bowl is number one for me. It's there is no discussion. Maybe after we need to look at from an audience point of view, the biggest audience is Tour de France. Is the Tour de France. Then you have the Olympic Games, which is every 4 years. Then it's then you have the other events. Then the Premier League in UK, it's the number one, But then Super Bowl, it's the number one. It tick all the boxes. And I go back. Why it has a future? Because number one, it's cool. Number two is made in US. And you cannot deny these two. You cannot deny these two. And here I'm talking like a proper marketing salesperson, So absolutely. And when you say it's cool, because how it starts from college. You need to have a grassroots. Then from there you go to college. Then here we don't have the system of scholarship. This system does not exist. So if you give the opportunity for the youngsters to try, to give it a taste, and like I said earlier, Kevin, if you get hooked, if you get the virus, there is no antidote.
Yes, you said that.
One thing we discussed a lot in my podcast, it's CTEs, the concussion, is the safety aspect of any sport, by the way, mainly contact sport and team sports, and including the American football. It's you cannot say, oh, hang on, there is some danger here, there is a lot of risk. No, absolutely not. Let the little ones enjoy, have fun on the pitch, but then to make it safe, have a proper equipment, invest slightly on research, change slightly the rules and regulation in terms of avoiding unnecessary impact and things like that. But yeah, look, my experience last night, and if it was not worth it and fun and cool and wow, I will not stay late at night glued on the TV, having popcorn and couple of beers and all the way to 4 o'clock in the morning. So I hope I answered your question, Kevin.
No, you absolutely answered my question. About I want to say the last episode we just did, and they talked about, I guess during this week, they had a 2-week layover for Super Bowl, and Goodell talked about branching out to Australia, and I was, I guess I was being a selfish American. I was like, well, why are you going over there? I said, I don't think those people care about that. I said, and then I read an article. I do my research and my due diligence. The Premier League says, hey, we don't have zero interest of coming to the U.S. and playing any games, regular season games. So I was like, well, why are we going over there to play regular season games in Europe? And you just answered my question. You stayed up till 4 a.m. in the morning with your popcorn and anything. And you said, I would love to get the numbers of how you watched that game yesterday. But just saying there's a whole lot of interest, I think that is.
Look, let me give you an example. Thai boxing, MMA. Who's the promoter of MMA today?
What's his name? Dana White.
Dana White.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When did he start be a promoter? It's not a long time ago.
Right.
It's recent. Look what is MMA today. Look what it is. And it's global. It's a global phenomenon. Okay, you're gonna say it's entertaining, it's in the ring, two persons fighting, everyone loves it and things like that. Forget all that. It's all depend on whoever is on top, in charge of the promoter or the right holder. They need to think forward. How do we see this sport, this brand going forward 5 years, 10 years from now? Give you another example, NBA that's suffering from it's not the same like it was 10 years, 15, 20 years ago.
Yes,
or it's not the same like the dream team in the Barcelona Olympic Games in, when was that?
1992.
92, yeah, 92. For the first time we've seen the dream team, and then it was like, oh my God, it's like and it was a dream team, but then after that the appetite, yes, exactly, that's the word I was looking for, the appetite for yes, we all love watching good basketball between various teams and things like that. And I think after the era of Pippen and Michael Jordan and Larry Bird before that, and Johnson and things, maybe Kobe Bryant, but after that, personally, I lost interest. I was not, let's say, that crazy person that every day, every week, looking on the fixture, which match I need to watch, which channel I need to tune in, if not, which sports magazine, or I need to look at post-match to look at all the gossips and what everyone is talking about. I lost that interest in basketball, in NBA. But then when I look at the last Summer Olympic, between the man and the women basketball, especially the final, so wow, look where we arrived. Now the other teams, which they are not Americans, they are exactly on the same level, you know. But then from a sport point of view, it's nice. But when you see the American football, it's not developed here in Europe. I believe it will spread, subject that the whoever is looking after the franchise and after the sport, that they will not screw up, that they will not do something stupid. But I don't think they will. You know, I hope not, because most of the time these guys, they will say, okay, we are well established, we are well set, we are not looking to make a couple of billions extra. You know, teams are happy, players are happy, we have our superstars, the audience is perfect. Why do we know? Why do we need to go abroad with this? You know, I think I give you an example, and I will stop. I give you an example.
No, you're
My
fine.
wife, my wife, she was because she's in the hospitality business. She traveled a lot to the States, and the last trip she was with her friends, and one of her friends, they went to a sports shop to get some outfits, merchandise, and that shop, and it was merchandise for NFL, for ice hockey, and in that shop they were selling as well stuff for football, various teams and things. Between both of them, they end up not only buying stuff for hockey but as well for American football to bring here to the kids. Why? Because it's cool. Because the kids here, the communities are following the American football, and that's the power. How can you say, sorry, this is not a criticism to you, Kevin.
Go ahead.
How can't you see the potential there? That little kids, boys living in Europe, they're not Americans, and their dream is to be part of that.
I absolutely get what you're saying now from your point of view. I was just thinking, as Americans sometimes can be very arrogant and be like, why are we going over there? Those folks don't want to, see what we got, what we got. But obviously I'm absolutely wrong. And I can admit to it. And that's the beauty of talking and having these conversations. And now I can call you friend, man, because you absolutely opened my eyes to this. And I think it's fascinating. And yeah, hey, Roger Goodell, hey, Roger, I'm sorry about this, not about
But
something else.
I think Sid is 100% right. My only problem is that they did it before, and I think they left too early, right? Because when the World League was starting to take off 15 years ago, the NFL kind of pulled up stakes when they had the Frankfurt team and this team, where they had people actually starting to. Because remember,
Yes.
as Sid said, you have to start the grassroots. So when you have the league and then you pull out the World League, you probably did yourself a little damage by pulling out too early. But maybe this time it's like right sizing a project that maybe right now they understand the right way to do it, and their approach this way or this time around will be, a lot more effective and efficient than the last time around, right? Because last time around we had teams. I just don't think that there was something wrong within the process, because at some point in time the NFL was like, oh, we had teams. Matter of fact, since we had guys on that played from the World League teams, that when they closed the World League, those guys came back to the regular NFL, and a few of those guys are Hall of Famers. Like they had like really good guys, but I think the business model might have been wrong at the time, or the way they did it, and maybe this time around, like you said, maybe they're going to start more with the or at the same time, push out the sport as it is today, but at the same time, it's kind of figure out what we can do to get the kids involved, right? What can we do to help them get equipment, to make sure kids don't get hurt, to push the flag football angle at a younger age, so they don't have to risk being crazy like me, get knocked in the head too many times. So those things have to happen, and I think as they reconfigure their approach. I think that'll work better
And
for Europe.
yeah, and there is another factor which I need to talk about, which I need to highlight. When you hear Patrick Mahomes speak during a briefing or post match, when you hear Josh Allen, when you hear Jalen Hurts talking, they speak so well. And not sorry to say, this is not criticism to some folks here in some sport, but these guys, when they talk, they reach beyond United States, and that's the power. And they inspire. For example, today we were talking and things, and my son, which he didn't watch the match yesterday, but for sure they was talking at school, and he was telling me, who's this rookie Cooper DG? And I said, yeah, he did this yesterday, and apparently it was his birthday and things. And he told me clearly he's a rookie. I said, I think so. He's a rookie. I need to check him out. So just to it's spreading. It's because it's cool, because it resonates with the young boys here, and there is nothing better to have someone that inspires you, like Patrick Mahomes or someone else. And this is the power of sport, guys. That's exactly the power of sport. Yeah, and let's see. Let's see. But yeah, talking on that subject, I think maybe one of the country that will try to bring an exclusive American football fixture or match to their country, I think it's Saudi Arabia. That's what I believe. That's really what I believe, because they are investing absolutely crazy on big sport fixture, and I believe American football, it will be next.
Well,
just remember that, guys.
well, look at boxing, because you mentioned boxing too.
Yeah.
What's my man name? DA Turkey.
Turkey.
Let's see what he's doing with boxing, and DA is the boxing guy.
And they were going to buy. Actually, Saudi Arabia was trying to buy an NFL team. They just didn't have anybody to sell them one. So when they had the whole live golf thing, they were going to buy an NFL team. They just somebody, they just didn't have someone that was willing to sell them one at the time. So So that's where that's at. But yeah, it's a global market. Sid, you are 100% right. And as long as people are paying, they will be playing. So
yeah, at the top level, absolutely. At the end of the day, it's entertainment. It's nice to watch. It's beside of the daily hustle, because sport has a social has a social effect on the community.
Yes, sir.
And sport like basketball and American football, now the NFL, which is I believe, if the promoter and the right holder, they are seriously considering to look at a new option to export this fantastic sport to other countries. I think in Brazil there is quite a good organization there. I heard about it. I saw a couple of news short clip. Japan as well, Europe, some countries. But the only way to boost the interest is to have a fixture, not like the Super Bowl, but something similar,
Close.
that will drive audience, media, create kind of a frenzy. Here we go.
Yes. Yeah, it works, right? It's a tried true, formula,
Yeah. Would you picture or foresee something like there is a strong football, or maybe they need to come up with a new name because we refer to football American football,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
or I think they should come up with a new name for the sport just to unify the sport itself, because you have rugby, you have football, which is soccer or European, and then football in America is football.
Yeah.
So, do you foresee teams starting to pop up here in Europe, as an example, and somewhere else, South America maybe, or Middle East and things, and be well funded, well structured, having a comprehensive program for little ones, for various group age, and having an elite team that represent the club, and having a championship within a country, within a region? Do you foresee like a proper world championship?
I would see that happening, and I'm sure I wish I could do this for hours too. I got another meeting coming up, but I would think that if using the same infrastructure that you're talking about, Sid, with youngsters and kids, if it started from the right place, because as stated, you don't have the college scholarship system, which is a big feeder of the professional ranks in America.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, it's baked in. So you got to go to college for 3 years before you can be a pro. So
Yeah,
it's baked in, right? So, and in high school, right, that's what bakes into the college system. So you have to kind of break out the kids and then the high school system, where you have kids playing in high school, getting better at the game, and you're going to find guys that are athletic freaks, anywhere in the world anyway, right?
Mhm.
So once you have that infrastructure set up, I think about 5-10 years, but you're going to have that financial backing really added to it, just from what you're saying, from the bottom layer of kids playing, kids having equipment, knowing the rules of the game, then having high school teams, and I think there's secondary schools in Europe. So yeah, secondary schools. Kids can play there and then move to a college setting, or if you're that good, moved over to America to play in the college, that if they want to give you a scholarship, you can come over, because that almost seems like there's no end to that money either. So Sid, if your son becomes like a super athlete by the time he gets out of high school, and they say, hey, we want this kid to come to Ohio State and play, and we'll pay for him to $50,000 a year, and you and your wife just have to come over and make sure that you're you're
Yeah.
happy with the
Yeah,
back,
yeah.
where he's living at, and all that stuff. And then the system will take care of itself, So, but it's definitely the way it's done in America is there's such a system involved. You have to have the high school, because those are the kids that go to college, and I think there are a few million kids that play high school football in America. And then it only breaks down to a few hundred thousand kids that play in college, right, at a certain level. And then it breaks down further to a few thousand guys, period, that play, football professionally. So there's a bunch of funnels, and we just have to make sure that the phase gates are done the right way, so that people can be involved. So, but I do apologize, guys. It's just been a little crazy at work, and a few things going on. So I am sorry that I was late, and I'm sorry that I'm leaving early. But I'm sure you guys will be fine. And Kev, I will talk to you guys later. Sid, thank you so much. As always, I do appreciate you guys. All right.
You got it, man. We'll talk to
You're
you.
welcome. Thank you, and have a nice day, Da.
I will try. Herding cats.
You take care.
Okay, bye.
Sid, before we get out of here, Sid, and before my sound keeps cutting off, as you can see, I'm having some difficulty But we're moving past it. We're trying to get past it. So you had the lightning round on me. Let me do the lightning round on yourself.
Let's do it.
What's your favorite sports documentary or movie?
Sports documentary. It's the Formula One on Netflix.
That was good.
Drive to Survive.
Yes, that was good.
Drive to Survive. That's the documentary. And season 6 will start, I think. We start in 2 weeks' time.
Yes,
on Netflix. Best ever movie. It's Any Given Sunday, played by Al Pacino, and he portray Coach Tony D'Amato, I think, from the Miami Sharks.
Listen, that's why me and your brothers, because I love that movie too. That movie was great. That's a great sports movie. I loved it. Loved it.
You know, I watched that movie maybe more than 20 times, believe it or not.
The beach or the mountains for a getaway? Where you going?
Oh, boat. Boat. Yeah. Because I'm like a fish. I need to be close to the water, you know. And like I told you earlier, when you are connected with the sea, since you open your eyes, you cannot. You become like a fish. I love the mountains. I really love the mountains, and for me, going on holidays, it's basically the mountains. It's the countryside, the mountains. I connect well with nature. Because nature has this divine power, the healing divine power. It's yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Coffee or tea?
Coffee. I can't function without it. Coffee.
Gotcha. What's your favorite podcast episode that you've hosted or listened to?
Ooh, that's tough. Okay. That's tough because
I asked tough questions.
Look, no, it's tough because I have a couple of podcasts that I listen to on a weekly basis. For example, and it's depend. For example, every Friday, which is my Saturday morning, which is Friday in the US, is the All In podcast. I love that podcast.
Okay,
you know. It's more about the business, the technology, investment, and things. And I love the character they are in All In. Then I have a couple of them. Depends as well which topic. Then well, yeah, it's and I did a couple of really interesting episodes. And look, I will not say which one is my favorite episode that I've recorded and launched and things. Every episode is unique.
Right.
And the beauty of every episode, the medium, the stuff we are doing, Kevin, is it gives us the opportunity to connect with people, to have a conversation. And through conversation, we learn so much. It's the best way to educate. Because when I say learn so much, even if something you are not sure about, it pushes you to research it. Oh, let me Google, let me use a ChatGPT, for example, just to look at the facts and things. And then you learn, and it's fantastic. And then you make friends. And it's the beauty of this medium, which is podcast.
I absolutely agree with you. Look at this thing with the whole NFL and coming to Europe. I'm blown away. And Thursday I was saying, I don't even know why I said, man, they don't care about American football. And apparently I was wrong. And I got educated today. Thanks to you, my friend. Last question. Who would you like to see come on the Sports Chasers podcast if you can recommend somebody for us?
Ooh, there is so many. Look, I would love to see on the same episode or on various episodes.
On any episode, yeah. If we can get an interview, somebody that you know that you interviewed
like
before,
a sports celebrity or
somebody that you interview, or a sports celebrity, somebody that you know that you can that that you know and that they will be interesting on our show?
Probably. I had a fantastic. Look, I have two recommendations.
That's what I should
John.
have recommendation.
Yes, I have two recommendations. John Vallely. John Vallely. He was a former UCLA basketball player.
Too late.
Under
Too late.
coach
Too late.
John.
Too late. I'm doing him next week. So
Oh,
he reached out to me.
say
So,
hi. Say hi to him. say hi to John. He's a
So you-
fantastic. He's a lovely person. I
Yeah.
had. It was an honor to have him together with Paul Westenstein.
Yes.
He co-authored a book called The Pyramid Principles, which is based on the pyramid of success from the one and only
John Wooden.
John Wooden.
Yes.
You know, and if any folks that is in sports or any business, please grab the two books: The Pyramid of Success from John Wooden. It's a must-have, you know, and the Pyramid Principle, which is not only to do with John Vallely career in basketball. There is so many stories. I listened to the book. I read the book and I listened to the book 3 times. Is just a fantastic story and the journey. It keeps you grounded. It keeps you grounded when you read that book, and it lets you appreciate the simple things in life because things doesn't last.
100%. I gotta, like I said, it'll be next week. I'll be interviewing those guys. So, you're in this. You're in the same vein, Sid. So,
And the second one, a young feller, a football player, American football, Walker Ferguson. He created an app, a meditation app, together with with someone else. He's young, but he's great. So shout out to Walker. If you want, I'll send an introduction email to both of you.
yes, do that, and I'll definitely, because we love to talk to interesting people, man. So yes, do that.
Yeah.
We'll definitely we'll get on tap for that, man. Listen, again, another hour and change. So this was part 2 of the interview. Sid, we're gonna have to call you back. We're gonna have you. You're gonna have to be my guy in Europe, man, to keep us abreast what's going on and popping in Europe, man. This has been such a blessing, such a pleasure, my friend. I appreciate you so much. I appreciate all that we learned from you today, and the whole thing with the sailing and the youth and the community, and your perspective on American football, and that you guys are really crazy about American football over there, and I was wrong. So, hey, hey, let's give a round of applause for my main man, Mr. Sid Bensalah, man.
Thank you.
Any last thoughts before we go, Sid? I'll let you have the last thoughts before we get out of here.
Well, this mainly for the youngsters. If you have a dream, do whatever it takes to achieve it. And if you fail, it's okay. It's not a problem. And do not ever listen to someone that tells you it's impossible. Make the impossible possible. And on that, once again, Kevin, thanks a lot. And hopefully I see you soon.
Yes, he has said it right there. Listen, Sid's not going to be able to hear me. But listen, on behalf of myself, I'm Kevin L1, your host and moderator for the Sports Chasers podcast.
Right.
Y'all be good. Y'all be great. Hey, y'all take care. Till the next time. Sid, hold on. Don't go nowhere.
That's a wrap for today's episode of the Sports Chasers podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast platforms, and connect with us on all social media channels for exclusive content and updates. We'd also love for you to join the conversation, share your thoughts, and become part of the Sports Chasers community. And remember to tune in next time for some more real sports talk. Until then, stay frosty.